From his time at Saturday Night Live to his years of stand-up and sitcom appearances, Norm Macdonald is one of America's most beloved comics. So who better to be part of the judges panel on NBC's newest season of Last Comic Standing? Here's a look at what to expect.
I'm an Iranian homo. I am.
Hey, Ron Kagani, I think it's impossible not to love you.
Yeah.
I like when you say Iranian homo a lot.
I think what you're saying, Norm, if he just come out here and just said homo over and over again, he'd be your favorite comic of all time?
I'm saying if I had the guts to come out of the closet, he'd be the guy I'd go to first.
Yeah.
Norm joins me now. Thanks for being here.
Hey, Josh, good to see you, buddy.
Exactly, you haven't been on yet.
On what?
On HuffPost Live yet.
Yeah, I've never been on.
Well,
I don't live in New York City. And
I know. It's no excuse. Just fly in for it.
That's true. No, I love HuffPost Live. I see it all the time.
Good.
Just in clips. When I found out it was a half hour, I was kind of shocked because
You thought I was just going to do 90 seconds with you and just nail exactly what I need to know.
Yeah, that's what I thought your skill was.
What's it like to be a judge of other comics rather than performing yourself?
Well, I'm very judgmental, so it suits my skill sets perfectly. You know that saying, "Judge not lest you be judged."
Uh-huh.
I think it may have been Jesus Christ of Nazareth. I'm not sure.
I think that's correct. Of Nazareth, not the other one.
Yeah, not Jesus H. Christ.
No.
But I disagree. I think you judge.
Judge away.
Yeah, judge all you can. And I also want to be a judge because, I wanted to be a proper judge, where I have a man's life in my hands. But in this thing, you just get to say, you're not funny. Who told you were funny? Seriously, some of these people, I swear to God, I can't imagine them even being the funniest person in a room, let alone a professional comedian. And I was thinking, who was it that told you were funny? Because that person, owes you a lot of money because you're following a dream that's impossible to catch.
Maybe after judging whether the comics are good,
Yeah.
you could then have the people who told them to become comics on, and you
Yeah.
could deliver actual punishments.
Yeah, I could judge them also.
Because I take it that there's no punishment for being a bad comic on Last Comic Standing. It's not like a judge in
no.
the sense that you can't actually lock them up in a cage in prison for 25 years if they do a bad job.
Yeah, no, you can't put them on death row.
Were you actually interested in the law? Was that ever a thing?
No, I was just interested in being a judge.
You have to learn the law to be a judge.
Well, no, I always...
Judges don't just act on whims. They have, unless they're on the Supreme Court. But
I always
then,
thought it meant to just say to a guy, like, okay, it's come time for your penalty phase. You get life or death. I always thought those were funny. Those are the two things that you get.
So as well as
the
being...
opposite things. The guy's obviously standing there going, damn, I hope I get life. I'm getting kind of used to it. It's all I've ever known.
Yeah.
And I don't want death, especially on that hot chair.
So in addition to being a tragic
How
indictment...
about that hot chair?
The hot chair?
No, I'm just saying, when you think of ways to kill someone, it wouldn't be the first that came to mind. Go, God, let's get a hottest chair we can. So a chair so hot that it would boil a man's insides,
It seems like, in addition to being an indictment of America's criminal justice system, the death penalty is amusing to you.
Well, yeah. I am against the death penalty. As one of your great poets said, I shall have nothing to do with, I shall die, but that's all I shall have to do with death. Can't remember who it was, but...
Probably not an Australian.
Ah, yeah.
Sounds a bit sophisticated
Australian,
for an Aussie.
Oh, Aussies, man, they have poets.
Yeah, we had a couple.
Yeah.
Maybe three.
Yeah. Australian rules football poets.
Do you like it? You're a big golf fan. Do you watch any Australian rules?
Well, when I watch sports like Australian rules football, I go, man, they must look at real football and go, what?
We do.
Because, in real football, you throw and you run, and then you rest for 5 minutes, and then you take 5 minutes off to rest up. You guys, you never stop.
Aussie
man.
rules is a fast game.
Yeah.
We also don't understand the shoulder pads and the helmets and the pom-poms
Yeah,
and
who
the
needs
cheerleaders
that?
and the singers and the fireworks and it's like a monster truck rally or something.
Yeah.
Am I watching football or is this a show? What's going on here?
The hell
Show
is
me a
this?
game.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree. I would love to live in Australia and watch Australian rules football.
We'll have you.
And you know,
Come. We're
Huh?
not going to keep Norm Macdonald out. You can come.
do they have this show here?
Yeah, we're
They have
everywhere because we're online.
Do they have Skippy the bush kangaroo?
They do have Skippy the Bush Kangaroo, which to viewers who don't know it is sort of it's a rip-off of Lassie,
Yeah.
but instead of a dog, it's a kangaroo
It's a bush
who can
kangaroo.
communicate with a little boy. Kind of like when I grew up, it's one of those things where when you're growing up watching it,
Yeah.
it's just the thing that's on TV. So
Yeah.
why would you even spare it a second thought?
You wouldn't
but now
even
that I'm
question
sitting
it.
here with you and you point out the absurdity of the show, I suddenly realize.
Well, also, I feel like, Lassie is a dog, but I feel like a bush kangaroo would be a very dangerous pet.
They're not that dangerous.
A bush kangaroo?
Well, a bush that just means the outback. I mean, bush makes it sound villainous.
Yeah.
But just take away, what if you just changed its name to Skippy the Cute Kangaroo?
No, but as far as I know, a bush kangaroo is a carnivore.
No.
No?
They eat leaves and things.
Oh,
I don't think there's such a thing as a bush kangaroo. I think you're getting caught up on this adjective.
Oh.
It's just a kangaroo.
It's just a kangaroo?
What other, it's not going to be an urban kangaroo.
Well, you're right. Yeah. So you're saying they don't even need the bush.
It's redundant. It's a tautology.
Complete redundancy.
This is ridiculous.
tautology.
Can we get the producers of Skippy the Bush Kangaroo on the phone and ask them exactly why it was called?
I thought of a great show because I love Skippy the Bush Kangaroo so much. And I was thinking of a sequel, for the younger children. Joey the Bush Kangaroo.
Baby.
No, Skippy the Bush Joey.
Skippy the Bush Joey,
It doesn't
baby
have the
kangaroo.
same run.
It doesn't. Maybe like Puffy the baby deer.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what the equivalent here in North America would be, where you don't have kangaroos.
I just
Deer
think
with venison.
children would be very, but you think, I'll tell you who children, even worse than being around a bush kangaroo and for an Australian child, being around Rolf Harris.
You're just coming out with the obscure Australian references. Nobody in America knows who Rolf Harris is.
They
do
don't?
I don't
Oh.
think so. Rolf Harris is an old I guess he's a folk musician and comedian who now lives in the UK, who it turns out may or may not have been a pedophile.
Yeah. But he was a good man compared to Jimmy Savile. None of this will play very well in America.
This is going to be huge in the UK and Australia. They're going to love you, Norm. I want to take a look at the moment when, after you'd gotten, you lost your job at Saturday Night Live, they then invited you back on to host, like
that's
18
right.
months later, right?
Yeah, it was odd.
Yeah, and you were kind of musing on stage in your introduction about what had happened, since you obviously weren't funny enough to be on the show, but now you're suddenly funny enough to host the show, and this was your
I
explanation.
was ruminating.
You were ruminating. Let's take a look at your explanation.
Then it occurred to me, I haven't gotten funnier. The show has gotten really bad. So yeah, I'm funny compared to, well, you'll see later. But okay, so let's recap. The bad news is I'm still not funny. The good news is the show blows.
I remember when I was doing that, and you can hear it if you listen to it, but the writers booed during that, After not writing anything for the entire show, they booed.
It's ballsy. It's a ballsy thing to do. I assume you wrote that. Did you run it by? I mean, you must do the dress rehearsal and run it by the producers and the writers.
I was going to
do.
do a thing that I thought would be really cool, and I was talked out of it. But I was going to do the monologue and then leave and let them do the rest of the show by themselves, which I thought would be good for the show, because it would be, they'd have to band together and, work around the fact that the host wasn't there and stuff like that.
This was, of course, in a period when Letterman he still hadn't gotten over the fact that he'd been fired by NBC, hadn't gotten the Tonight Show right. And you went on Letterman, and I still remember seeing this. He was just fired up with anger and fury on your behalf at the pinheads at NBC. I want to take a look at Letterman. Letterman talking about this after you got fired. Look at this.
I tell you something, Norm, I'm very happy for you because one or two times ago when you were on the show, you had been fired. You'd lost your job at Saturday Night Live on the Weekend Update because those people didn't have the guts to stand by you. Because those people wouldn't know funny if it bit them in the ass. And they, of course, were hoping that they'd never hear from you again. They were hoping, of course, that they had squashed out another career.
Right.
They thought, oh, okay, that's it for him.
What did that mean to have Letterman at your back?
Oh, Letterman was so kind to me. Yeah, one thing about being fired was like a lot of cool guys I really loved, mostly Letterman, you know. He's my favorite guy ever. But Letterman and Stern and Gary Shannon and all these, Chevy and all these guys like jumped to my defense, which was really nice. But especially David Letterman, because he was the reason I got into stand-up, and he's the reason that I love comedy so much.
Why? Can you elaborate on that?
Because I feel David Letterman is the best comedian that ever lived. Like he was, you know, he just turned everything on its ear. And I think, you know, people talk the way they do now because of David Letterman, and he had a great deal to do with you know, this irony-soaked way people converse nowadays, even if they don't understand what they're doing.
Yeah, and there was a certain eloquence to the way that he'd deliver a gag, especially, I mean, not so much in his stand-up, but when he's interviewing someone. I mean, he was a huge inspiration to me as well, to be able to find the exactly perfect, articulate, almost overly formal words that he would use. Like, you know, he'd be, you know, he'd never say, you know, enjoy a drink. He'd say, enjoy a delicious beverage or something. You know,
he'd use over articulate words and mix them with. You know, super old-timey phrases that he enjoyed and stuff like that.
Do you remember your first set on
Yeah, I
Letterman?
remember that. Long time ago. And I remember because you get real afraid because, like, he had these other two guests on, wherever they were, and then he had me, you know? So it was like, I can't remember who it was, but it was big guests.
Was it on Late Night, by the way, or had you moved to CBS? Or
Late Night,
it was back on NBC?
NBC, and he would go. He would say, Harrison Ford is with us tonight, and, you know, David Bowie. But the reason you're all, you know, showing up, Norm Macdonald is with us. And he said that like 6 times. I was like, oh, my God. Like, and but it made me realize something about the David Letterman show. And it helped me because on all the other shows are different. But on the David Letterman show, like, there's a joke going on. And David Letterman's in on the joke, and the studio audience is in on the joke, and Paul Shea from the band is in on the joke, and even the audience is in on the joke, and the joke is the guest, it's you. And once I realized that, then I just started fooling around with Dave.
Do you even remember the experience of doing that first set, or are you just totally numb like a deer in the headlights thinking, oh my God, I'm on Letterman's show, oh my God, I'm on Letterman's show?
Well, I know I remember word for word. The funniest, because I always got on, I started doing stand-up to get on the David Letterman show. So once I got on the David Letterman show, I was so excited. And then I did it, and I did a specific joke, and he like kept repeating the punchline for the rest of the show. So that made me like really happy. And then I remember going back after to my manager, and I was like, hey, cool. You know, I'm done. Like, I'm finished. I thought that was the end of the road.
And then he's like, well, maybe you could consider Saturday Night Live or something.
He said, yeah,
like,
maybe you could do something else. Maybe you could do, like, act. And I was like,
I've achieved everything I want to achieve. It's done. I've been on Dave.
That was the end.
Of course, you did iconic impressions of Dave on SNL as well.
I did do an impression.
I just want to take a look at one of those. This is you interviewing John Lovitz, who's playing Marv Albert, the sportscaster.
He told me he could do.
This is when Marv Albert was being accused of
He
sexual
told
assault.
me he could do Marv Albert.
And he couldn't?
No, we'll see.
Let's take a look.
When I was doing Letterman, it was very difficult because I didn't really want to do a guy that was funnier than me, and I do it with any comment. So, but they cut out my favorite thing because I wrote the sketch. You know, my favorite thing, which was, I said, Paul, one thing I forgot. I'll be right back, and then I had him leave, and then I ran around the building, like just 4 blocks around the building, and then came back in. I was like, whew.
That's what Letterman used to do in the first 5 years or so of the CBS show, right? He'd just run outside and do some stupid stunt and then pretend that he'd just come back in from running.
Exactly.
Yeah, the fake breathing.
So I was trying to do I was just trying to him doing pure nothingness as comedy.
I want to bring in some of your fans who want to ask you questions.
Oh, yes.
So first up is Scott Bluebond. Hey, Scott.
Hey, how are you?
Great. You got a question?
Yes, I've really enjoyed Norm's appearances on the Howard Stern show, and I was wondering if he ever thought about either joining the show, had talked to Howard about that, or maybe having his own show on one of Howard's stations on Sirius Satellite Radio.
No, I haven't. But then again, I don't think of anything ever. I never think of anything.
Yeah, you thought you were done the first time you'd been on Letterman.
Yeah. Basically, my career is like other people think of stuff, and they go, "You want to do this?" And I'm like, "Maybe. We'll see what. First of all, we'll see what, and then after that, we'll see what the money is."
What does that refer to?
I don't like to say.
What? Can you give us a hint?
Huh?
Give us a hint what this refers to?
This?
Yeah.
No, this is mine.
On Saturday Night Live on the 40th reunion show, 40th anniversary show, right? Eddie Murphy was supposed to play Bill Cosby. Is
yes,
that right?
well, we wanted him to play Bill Cosby, yes.
And he didn't want to. What was that about?
Well, he thought that all the facts were not in at that point. The documents had yet to be unsealed. And so, being a big fan of due process, he decided it not proper to assume guilt. So I thought it was very admirable because it would have got a huge laugh, him doing Bill Cosby, and I thought it was kind of cool that he went. He doesn't need laughter. He's kind of a Zen-like guy,
Do you?
When you talk to him, he's very calm, and then all of a sudden he'll burst forth with the funniest thing you've ever heard, and then he returns to his equanimous state. It's very, very interesting to see.
How do you figure out how much to share about what goes on behind the scenes at SNL? Because I know that you were talking about Eddie not doing Bill Cosby on Howard Stern's show, and Seth Meyers wasn't crazy about that. He came out about the Ellen and said, "I wouldn't have told that story."
Seth Meyers said that?
Yeah, he said, do we have the quote here? Just bring up the quote. He said, I wouldn't have told it. I feel the same way. I think when you're at SNL, you're seeing so many different things behind the scenes. There are often things to give away that are yours to give away. Norm played it in a way that is very Norm Macdonald. And he went on to praise you, but I don't know what that means. I mean, how do you choose what to reveal and what not to reveal, what to share and what not to share about an institution as powerful as SNL?
I always think, what would Seth Meyers do? Ridiculous.
Do you have like a necklace or something with a WWSMD on it? And whenever you're in a pickle, just hold that. And what would Seth do?
Yeah, because, if you really want to be really funny, then that's what you want to do. You want to think, what would make Seth Meyers laugh? That's how I live my life.
What do you think of his show?
Of what show?
The Seth Meyers show.
It's not something I would do.
What do you make of the entire landscape of late night changing so much now? I mean, with Leno out of the picture, with what Fallon's now doing, with Letterman gone, with Colbert coming in, you had a very heartfelt and teary goodbye to Letterman on one of his last shows.
Well, I loved Letterman. I was too young to understand Johnny Carson. Everybody said he was the best. And I take it on faith, But when Letterman came, then he was the voice of my generation, at least. And everyone since then hasn't come close in my mind. But there's too many, there used to be two, Letterman and Carson Letterman.
Yeah.
And now there's at last count, I think there may be about, I think it was 40,000, someone told me.
40,000
someone told me 40,000.
late-night talk shows.
Yeah, on the East Coast.
Right.
And so I said to myself, no, it's all splintered, you know.
Yeah.
I heard somebody say that.
There's a great documentary about Carson if you want to get inside of why he was so great on Netflix. I can't remember what it's called, but it gave me an insight for the first time, showing the old original stuff that he was doing when he was young, and just how groundbreaking and how really kind of boundary pushing the stuff that he was doing was. You should look it up.
Because you're used to like Graham Norton interviewing Sid James, and that's you.
Graham Norton's not on in Australia. I think, well, he wasn't when I was growing up. I don't know. You're getting your British and Australian very confused.
I know.
You've got Skippy and
remember the magic boomerang?
No.
Feller would throw up a boomerang, a little child, would throw up a boomerang. This is an Australian program, and time would stop. And then he would go and do something, you see, and then the boomerang would come back much later than an actual boomerang would,
Why are you so familiar with arcane Australian television shows that even I have never seen or heard of?
Oh, I know lots of facts. Do you know that it's called Down Under?
Really?
Yeah.
What is?
Australia.
Australia is called Down Under.
Yeah. And also, if you spin the other way.
If you spin, then you spin the other way.
Yeah, you spin like a top. You know how a top spins?
Yeah, I know how a top
Well, in
spins.
Australia, a top spins the opposite way of a top in America.
What happens if you just spin the top the other way?
I think so. I think something happens with the universe.
I've got to try this next time I'm back.
I'm not quite sure.
So if I spin a top the wrong way in Australia, then something happens with the universe.
Why do you get makeup but I don't?
You did get makeup. I was talking to you in the makeup chair.
I look like Nosferatu.
I've got a little shine on my forehead.
Do you?
Yeah, look at that. Look, cut to the... See that? Look at that. That right there.
Oh, yeah, and your widow's peak.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
How come you've still got hair?
Well, I have somebody else's hair.
Oh, really? Is that effective?
What?
The hair transplantation?
Oh, I never had a transplantation.
Well, why do you have someone else's hair?
I got a rug, a toupee.
What does it look like under it? It's a very good one.
I'm bald. Would you like to see it?
Yeah, please.
I can't. It's stuck too hard today.
It's stuck too hard. Can you just rip it? Do we have any solvents?
Do you have any questions?
Maybe some solvents.
Solvent?
Some kind of a solvent to just get the glue off.
Yeah.
Our viewers comment as they watch this online, and someone's just commented. Natalie says, on the Today Show, you said that Amy Schumer is the funniest person in the world. How does she compare to Letterman?
Oh, Letterman's funnier. But I was talking about the new generation of people that are out.
Yeah.
I consider, personally, and I take myself out of the equation, that Amy Schumer is the funniest person in the world. Now, if I were to put myself in the equation, I would say Amy Schumer is the second most funniest person in the world.
Well, you already said Dave's funnier, so she's third now.
Well, but Dave's retired.
But he's still a person.
I know, but it's hard to know if he's funny or not because he's living in Wyoming with buffalo going, ah!
I don't believe he is. I think he's just back in Connecticut, where he always lived.
That's what what's his name used to say, Rickles.
Rickles used to say that.
Well, he used to say
Wyoming?
no. He used to say there's one guy in a shed with a rake going, bah! Like he just say stuff that made no sense. That's what I loved about Rickles.
Yeah, right. I had Jim Brewer on the show.
I love Jim Brewer.
Yeah, he was talking about.
He's a nice boy.
He was talking about a sketch that you guys were doing on
Nice
SNL.
kid. Yeah.
Where you were supposed.
Well, he is.
I didn't know if that was willfully condescending.
Oh no!
No.
I meant he's a great boy.
No, he's
a man.
Boy.
He's a man.
Yeah, he's a man. He's a grown man.
He always seems like he has a childlike.
He does. That's true.
Yeah.
And he's also always seems stoned, which is weird. Even though he's not.
Yeah.
He
His eyes have that.
But he was talking about this sketch where you were going to be playing Rod Sterling from the Twilight Zone.
Serling, we call him.
Sorry, Rod Sterling. Right. And you were going to be doing this big impression. And Chris Kattan was annoyed that you weren't in character doing the impression through the whole rehearsals. And just before you went to air live, this happened. Take a look at Jim describing the scene.
I'll just say, he goes, hey, Uncle Dan, not everyone's a real pain in the ass like you, and you're a screw. Nobody likes you. Nobody likes you. Nobody can stand you. I can't stand you. You ask around anyone. 3 seconds. And he just insulted him on such levels that was so wrong that I can't repeat. And Lily, when the sketch started, he turned and goes, imagine if you will. I just nailed it.
Do you remember that? Do you remember what he said?
Remember that. Yeah, I didn't say what he said. He was saying he was being.
He was paraphrasing and being kind. What did you say?
Well, Chris is a great guy, but he used to bring around women all the time to the show, you know. Big, tall women, you know. Big bruisers, you know. And he'd say, look, I'm heterosexual. I mean, he wouldn't say that out loud, but that's what the picture, that would be the caption on the picture in the New Yorker. Boy, those are funny.
So it was something related to his sexuality.
Maybe. But listen, if I call a person gay, that ain't no insult.
It's a good thing nowadays.
Yeah, if you say it's an insult, you're the homophobe, not me.
Correct. Supreme Court says so.
That's absolutely.
We've got one.
Do you think the LGBT community? Do you know? First of all, do you even know what it stands for?
Yeah.
What is that for?
Lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender.
Is it? I don't know if you're right, but
I mean, you can make up whatever acronyms you want.
Well, you got a computer, you can look it up.
I'm not going to look up what LGBT means.
Well, somebody
I know what
can tell
LGBT
us
means.
I don't
I
think
just
that's
told
what
you.
it means. Because B, I mean, all B's are G.
All bisexuals are gay?
Well, yeah. Obviously, right?
Well, they have gay components.
So
they can be attracted
all
to.
B's are G. All L's are B. I'm sorry.
Well, you're saying all bisexuals
I'm
are
trying
gay
to do
and
some
lesbian.
syllogisms. No. I'm saying, do you think any of them go, I wonder if those, do you ever think at the meetings they go, could I, because, you know, in their community, the LGBT community, I don't know where it exists, where they have their headquarters, but do you ever think the L's, the G's, and the B's go, I have an idea. The T's, you know, I think it's LGB sounds good. And then somebody else would go, somebody with a hat that looked like Carmen Miranda's would go, no, I like LGBT. And then the other person, you're going to get a lot of trouble for this segment.
I'm not.
What?
I'm not.
I love everybody. You know what I mean? Without love, what do we got? I don't care if a guy's a guy, a girl, a guy, girl, I couldn't care less. I love them all.
What do you make of...
I'll have sex with any of them.
So you're the B?
Huh?
You're the B?
No, I'm a person that is so tolerant that I would have sex with an L, a G, a B, or a T. Isn't that nice? But I would not have sex with a straight person.
We've got some questions on Periscope. We're also on Periscope.
Oh, cool.
We're not
I
just
was trying to
streaming
get on
HuffPost Live. We're streaming on the
man.
Periscope.
Oh, really? Watch the hearts shoot out, man.
Yeah.
Pink ones, the blue ones.
Oh, they're loving it. Yeah. They're loving it. Someone says, will Norm bring his podcast back? And someone says, does Norm want a career in golf commenting? Which you practically have, because you do these very long...
I already am a golf commentator. I just use a new media outlet to comment on it.
Twitter.
That's all. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is way far past television.
You probably don't get the...
They don't give me this. That's the problem. And they don't give me any cash.
No, Twitter
any
doesn't.
Money.
You don't get paid for tweets, Norm.
So I'm like, I said, man, I'd like to get on Twitter because I'd like to make a lot of money and I'd like to get some of this. But nothing. But that doesn't matter, you know. It's for the art, you know. And so...
I think maybe your manager needs to speak to you about lucrative opportunities versus non-lucratives.
Take your filthy lucre and make it filthier.
I think Scott has... Do we have one more question from Scott? Scott, jump back in and you can wrap us up.
You asked me
here.
about my podcast.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Well, Periscope did.
Yeah,
Is
Periscope.
it coming back?
Yeah, the problem with my podcast, I only get guests that are interesting, unlike you. You know, you have to just, whoever they throw in here, you know, you have to.
Yeah, but you're good. You're interesting.
I'm all right. You know, if we could start it all over, I would, you know.
What would you start with?
First of all, I just start with how much I love Caitlyn Jenner and how courageous I think she is. And all transgenders, you know, are courageous, you know, except the ones that are serial killers. I don't care for them. I'm torn, actually, with the because I love the part of them that is transgender so much. There's only been 2 in the history of the world, you know.
Transgender people or transgender serial killers?
Transgender serial killers. Ed Gein, and there was another fellow. Lady. And so I'm torn because the transgender part of them I love so much, and the serial killer part of them, I mean, I don't care for that. You know, I mean, you know, let me just go out on a limb here and say, I am against psychosexual sadists who slay people.
But it's a difficult balance because, on the other hand,
I love transgenders so much.
Yeah,
I love them.
Well,
you know, if I could have sex with a transgender every day for the rest of my life, I'd be a happy man.
As long as they're not straight.
Yeah, I don't want no straight people. I don't like straight people.
There you go. You heard it here first, folks. Norm,
everybody but straight people.
Everybody but straight people.
Straight people, I got no use for.
Well,
is this odd? Has this been an odd interview for you?
I love it.
Skippy the Bush Kangaroo.
I love odd interviews. I love interviews where I don't know where they're going to go.
Rolf Harris.
Because I know that you can handle it. You know, sometimes
got a lovely bunch of coconuts. That wasn't Rolf Harris. What was Rolf Harris's coconut song?
I don't know, but it was probably racist.
Was he racist?
I don't know. He's an old, like, Australian man. Yes.
All
go out on a limb.
Oh, yes, you're
yes,
right. Old people are racist. You know, even against Australians, you know.
Yeah.
People, yeah. Australians are particularly racist.
I could sit here all day, but your publicist would kill me.
Oh.
They'd go crazy.
If you sat here all day, even if I left?
No, if you left, that'd be fine. Oh. I will be sitting here all day.
You will?
What else am I going to do? I got other stuff to do. I got other people to interview. You're not the only one, Norm.
You're a charming fella.
Oh, thank you.
How long were you in the... let me just turn the tables for a moment, you know? Interview the
as long as you take the flack for the fact that I'm not rapping.
I mean, you're the journalist. You're the one that whose job it is to, you know, afflict the I can't think of the term anymore. You afflict the powerful, and you.
I hold the powerful to account.
That's what you do.
As a representative of the Fifth Estate.
The Fifth?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know there was a Fifth Estate.
Apparently there is now.
There's a fifth one?
Yeah.
Is there a third triumvirate?
There's a lot of estates.
Yeah.
There's a lot of estates, Norm. Okay.
You're a good man.
I got to kick you out.
All right, baby.
Otherwise, your publicist.
I love you, man.
I love you too, Norm.
It was really nice. I mean, I don't love you in that way.
Well, unless I'm not straight.
Yeah.
Much more coming up, Norm.
Are you?
Watch this space.
All right.
Thanks for joining us. Thanks to our community members for their questions, and you can be sure to check out the newest.
We never got to Scott's, but
we didn't get to Scott's.
Scott had a question, yeah.
Oh yeah, we got his first one though. He was the same guy.
Oh, same fella?
Yeah, same fella. Yeah. The newest season of Last Comic Standing is on NBC tomorrow, July 22nd. Keep watching HuffPost Live. Plenty more conversations coming right up.